We really love Weave because it's a play on our dad's last name, Weaver. Everyone called him Weave, but it's also weaving the businesses together.
And so she came up with Weave Industries, and it really stuck, and it just fit a lot better with what our core business is.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
To share their stories, expertise, industry insights, and strategies.
And we are sharing them all with you every single week.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center offers free personalized support from business plans to financial projections and beyond, empowering small businesses to thrive. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org.
Today, we have the pleasure to have sisters Jennifer and Jeri joining us today to talk about business, branding, and sustaining a family legacy. So in 2018, 6 of your companies merged into a single consolidated legal entity called Weave Industries. What events prompted the consolidation of your 6 companies into the unified legal entity known as Weave Industries back in 2018?
Well, Warren Transport was founded by my father, Jim Weaver, back in, I want to say 1984.
Okay.
And at the time, he owned Montana Limestone. So it's a quarry that's in Warren, Montana, that's just south of Bridger, a limestone quarry. Mm-hmm. He did trucking as part of that. So he founded Warren Transport to haul the limestone to power plants and other places. And then over time, he started many new businesses. So he started a business called Quarry Services that does load and haul operations for other limestone quarries and so on and so forth. And at the time, attorneys had told him that to protect him from liability, he should start a new business for each line of business, so a new legal entity. Oh. And so thus, over time, there were 5 separate operating companies.
Wow.
And prior to 2018, they're just managing 5 separate companies was a lot from a back office standpoint. So
especially if they're, very closely related, they're different revenue streams. So
right. And then so the whole purpose of doing it in the first place was to protect from legal liability. But through various things that happened over time, we found out that it's not necessarily a protection. It all goes back to the owner of the businesses, regardless of what business something might happen in. Yeah. So prior to 2018, just from a payroll perspective, an accounting perspective, developing financial statements for 5 separate operating entities.
Oh my gosh.
It's
like taxes. Reporting all year long.
Yeah, it was a lot and took a lot of effort to manage it. And it was difficult because we spent so much time on back office functions that it was a distraction.
Yes.
And so in 2018,
and Jen, it was also hard when the companies wanted to work together. So if, trucking hauled something for Corey, they had to do all this inter-office billing. And it just became a nightmare.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The inter-office billing. Wow. I can't forget about that.
So
you're like, I blocked it out.
Here's an invoice. Like you just walked down the hall, give out someone an invoice, and wow, okay.
Yeah. So just a lot of work that was unnecessarily having to be done was just taking a lot of resources and time.
So when we decided to consolidate all the businesses, we consolidated all of the businesses under Warren Transport, Inc. as the sole legal entity because that's where all of the semi-trucks were. That's where a lot of the real estate's at. And so we didn't have to update a ton of title work. We consolidated everything into Warren Transport, Inc. And so it still remains the main legal entity today, even though we're doing business as Weave Industries.
Okay. So were you guys both there at that time when all of this, because it sounds like your dad he started a company, then he saw another need opportunity, so he added, and then he saw another, and then it just kind of kept getting
serial
added.
entrepreneur.
So Jen was there at the time. Jen's been very heavily involved in the businesses since 2010.
Okay.
So about 14, coming in 14 years now. But both of us, as we were talking about earlier before this started, have been involved in the businesses since we were kids. We both were, had to work there during high school, during college. I used to dispatch trucks. I started on the wash bay. I got fired from the wash bay.
What? No, yeah, tell us about this.
What an awkward conversation with Dad.
It is not a fun job, the wash
I
bay.
think I would be bad.
Yeah,
at
I showed
that.
up thinking I could wear a bikini. You cannot wear a bikini when you're washing lime and coal off of semi-trucks. You have to wear coveralls.
Getting a
But
tan, I get it.
we started out, and our parents always made sure that we had jobs, were involved in the business, understood the businesses. We rode along to everything.
Yeah. So earlier you guys were telling us, we'd love the audience to hear that too. So you guys just were in the business, staying in probably like whenever you weren't doing something with school, you're there.
Yeah, there weren't as many regulations when we were kids, so kids could be around a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, we went to work with our father a lot, and we'd go to the limestone mines, and on blast days, he'd say, go hide behind the bucket of that loader, or like, and definitely not. I mean, MSHA would not allow that today.
Like we wouldn't do that today.
You guys turned out fine, though.
Yeah, totally fine, and our babysitters were truck drivers. So
Just riding along.
we just ride along for the day with the drivers. So yeah, I mean, we grew up in the business. In fact, our great grandfather was in construction and trucking. He had some of the first motorized gravel trucks in the state of Iowa.
Wow.
They ended up branching into limestone mining, and my dad's father passed away when he was 19. And so he was really young, and him and his brother took over the businesses, and then my dad ended up taking over the businesses in Montana. And so that's how we ended up here.
Oh, got it. Okay. So you guys were kind of spread out a little bit and then grew into Montana.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys grew up in Montana.
So
Yes,
I was,
mostly.
we grew up in Montana. I was born here. Jeri was born in Iowa, and then we moved back. So yeah, and I was born and mostly raised. I went to Billings Senior High, graduated, as my daughter would say, back in the 1900s from senior high.
God, they just know how to hurt us.
I know.
I think it's weird when kids are born in like 2000. But then it's like, oh, they're 2013, 2012. I'm like, excuse me, what? It's weird. It's weird. So what brought you guys? So you guys, the companies were growing, getting added, but where were you both at prior to coming back?
Yeah, our parents always encouraged us to also go live a life outside of the family business and outside of them, just because world experiences helps you.
Yeah.
So we both went, Jen went to school back east in Boston. I went to school in Missoula and then moved to Boston. I always follow her everywhere.
Okay.
Yes.
We're seeing a trend.
And I came
Okay.
back to Montana, and she followed me again.
They can't get away from you.
Our husbands say we're each other's true partners in life.
Hey, that's
agree with that,
magic.
yeah.
But yeah, we after college, I stayed in Boston, got married, worked in software marketing for almost 10
Oh, wow.
years, and then my daughter was going into kindergarten, and it was such a rat race out in Boston, and we were looking at private schools for kindergarten, and then we were like, oh, this is so expensive. I think we should move to the suburbs, but then you've got such a long commute. And then I always had, my parents in my ear, like, we have these family businesses and we'd love you to be more involved. And then it just started to make sense. Like once you have your family, you're like, wow, Billings, Montana was such an amazing place to grow up. And so we came back and made the move, and my husband started working for Stillwater Mining, and I started working for the family business. And so our father was not an easy person to work for. He had very high standards, and nothing was ever given to us. It was like we had to work for everything that we
You're
ever
getting
got.
fired from the car wash bay.
No, it's true.
I just had to go start cleaning, and then I got moved to the cleaning detail, so inside the office.
My son wants to start working for us. And so I said, well, you got to start in the wash bay. And he's like, I will. I was like, you're going to hate it.
Yeah. But you have to do it.
Yeah. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage. Yeah. So
You just say, do what Aunt Jeri did and just wear a bikini,
Wear a
and then
bikini
you'll
and
get
then you'll
kicked
get
off.
kicked out.
Sounds right.
And then you'll move into inside to clean.
but Jeri came to Boston.
Yeah, I had a similar path, a little different than Jen. So I came to Boston. Jen got me Jen's husband got me my first job in Boston, and kind of worked my way up also in software marketing. Worked for startups for years, and then
we both had the same boss at different companies.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
weird.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys really can't get away from each other.
Yeah, we can't get away from each other. We're, like I said, life partners. And then I ended up working for Oracle. They acquired one of the companies I worked for. So I worked for Oracle for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And spent a lot of time in product marketing, product management. And I'd say I got the best of both worlds, because I know how to be lean and mean as far as the startup goes. We have no money, you're asked to conquer Everest. And then I, switched to Oracle, where it's a whole different ballgame, where you have tons of resources at your disposal, but you have to play the political game of working for a big company. So it's really been nice that Jen and I have been able to bring some of these corporate skills back to Weave Industries. And like I said, our dad, started it from the ground up. So we've been able to bring a lot of ideas and kind of talent and ideas, especially when it comes to branding, marketing, HR, employee relations.
So can you guys talk a little bit about that? So having such great experience out of market, living somewhere else, which I do think is valuable. I am from a small town and then moved to Billings, but I love to travel. So experiencing those things, what are some of those things that you have brought back and implemented now that you're both together working there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that especially as we were going through our rebranding efforts, so Oracle had just gone through a big rebranding while I was there. And so I was able to kind of ease everybody's minds that this is hard. You're going to go through growing pains, but the reality is, like, we have to do it. Like, we had a lot of confusion when it came to our brands, as Jen calls it. We were having an identity crisis when it came to like how we were look. We had 5 different logos. We had 5 different color palettes. We had
because we consolidated our
fonts.
businesses when we consolidated them in 2018. We kept the branding. All of the business divisions had their own unique logos and look and feel, and there was so much work to do just in the consolidation that we said, well, let's just keep it the way it is for now. But that wasn't the best thing to do.
Because question for you on that, were those people in those entities like pretty brand loyal to that specific, like we're the limestone division?
So we have, for example, environmental materials in the Bakken, and environmental materials, we market a drying agent product, which is a blend of fly ash and limestone to the drilling rigs, and it helps dry up drill cuttings. And there was such a specific brand identity that when we consolidated the businesses, all of the people that were boots on the ground, they said, hey, we need to keep our look and feel. We need to, so there was some of that. Yeah. There definitely was. And I think over time, we just became more cohesive as one unit and had more buy-in from our employees to say, hey, we're coming together.
How did you get that buy-in?
Yeah, how did you keep your employees that engaged throughout that process? Because I've been through a merger, and it is, and not that this would be a merger, right? But because you're consolidating, but it does feel like a little bit of, you lose a little bit of yourself because you're in this stream. So
yeah, and I think we worked with them. So for example, as Jen was saying, environmental materials, we had the color palette was blue and yellow. And so we kept that same color palette. And so we tried to tell them they're not really going to notice that much change and shift in the logo. We still kind of kept the colors, and we still had it. We also, said change happens, right? Change is it's inevitable, right? It's going to happen within a business. And so it was Jen and I's job to ensure that everybody kind of got on board with it. So we talked about the importance of, brand cohesion and making sure that we were one company, and, that we're not these individual companies anymore. We're one unified company with multiple divisions. And so I think it was just communicating with the teams and ensuring them that this doesn't change their roles. It doesn't change what they're selling. It doesn't change anything. And it's our job and it's their job to communicate that to our customers.
No, I think that's really important. We have a little bit of that, I would say, just within Big Sky too. It's unique because we have federal programs that you can't get rid of their logos because they can't go away into mind. It's a thing I've been dealing with for 5 years, but it's, getting everyone to buy into the bigger entity, I think is exciting, and it's a change, but challenging.
Yep. And I think it also helped that Jen and I could say, back to your original question, we could say we've done this before, right? We have experience doing this. We don't have a marketing team. We have our recruiter is now in charge of our marketing.
And before that, I did all of our marketing.
Jen did all of it, and we still do it. But we're able to help guide and help really show the team, how you can grow. But we don't put, our marketing dollars don't go into
things like marketing collateral, marketing campaigns that go out to customers, because most of our business comes from word of mouth. Yeah. So most of our marketing dollars are actually spent on recruiting. So
that makes sense why a recruiter does it.
Yeah. Because a lot of your guys' services, which maybe we should just touch on a little bit for those listening to understand. We've talked a little about limestone, trucking, things like that, but just overarching what you all do. Because I do think it would be word of mouth, right? Because you work with one big company and then that spreads.
Yeah. So Warren Transport is our largest division, and Warren Transport hauls for the energy, oil and gas, mining, construction industries. So we haul a lot of dry bulk commodities such as coal and limestone, and we haul a lot of cement. We haul most of the cement into the city of Billings, and so we have a lot of specialty trailers in Warren Transport, like pneumatic trailers and belly dump trailers, and we haul large loads with our trucks. So usually we haul doubles, and it's a lot of heavy tonnage going down the highway, and
drivers that can do the doubles and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. Like, we're talking about recruiting drivers. Well, we can't just hire somebody that went out and got their CDL 6 months ago. No. So, safety is so important to us. And so we have extremely high standards for the drivers we hire, and also for them to be insurable. So they have to have years of experience, and not only just experience hauling singles, but they have to have experience hauling doubles. And so it definitely does make hiring difficult. And that's one of the reasons we put so many dollars into recruiting. So that's Warren Transport division. And then Quarry Services is our mining division. So like I said earlier, that our family, their core business was limestone mining. And so he actually sold Montana limestone back in about 2000, but because of all of the experience he had operating heavy equipment and managing the load and haul operations at mines, he saw an opportunity to step into doing the load and haul operations at the Graymont limestone mine in Townsend, Montana. So that's the core business of Quarry Services, is load and haul operations for Graymont. And then construction is something that we always dabbled in, and my father had a background in it, but we never really launched it until, I want to say, about 2020. We really started saying, like, this is something we want to grow. And so in 2021, we brought on some dirt crews, concrete crews, and have really grown that business in Yellowstone County. So it's civil site work, construction.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, what kind of construction?
So a great thing is we just did the Skyline Trail, so that was one of our big projects.
Yeah, I saw you guys in those photos.
So it was really so that's a great way to think about the type and scope of work.
We're doing the site work, everything on the ground, the grading, the excavating, the concrete. We'll manage the whole process for everything that needs to get the site work prepped and set. We do not do vertical.
But I mean, that's a big part. Yeah. Okay. You're like, no, not that. No, that's really cool. So, and you guys all have that in-house. I mean, you have different divisions of people doing that work.
Yes.
Which it makes sense. I mean, if you're hauling the cement anyways.
Yeah. And then I mentioned environmental materials earlier. That is our business in the Bakken oil fields. Okay. So we market and sell a drying agent. And how my father got into that is we used to haul off fly ash, and we still do, from power plants. And then there was a beneficial use to use that product in a recycled way.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. In the oil fields. So that's how that business got launched. And so
and then we have a real estate division as well, which manages all the real estate that a lot of our operating companies leverage as well. And then we have some property out in Lockwood that's going to will be great to look at developing when the bypass goes through.
Oh, awesome.
So that'll be a nice, fun project
that will be
we're
exciting.
starting to work on.
Is it in the Lockwood, Ted?
It is.
Oh, how exciting. I cannot wait for that to get going. We're working on a really big video project. And so we're out there. I'm with a videographer that's doing these big he does economic development videos. And so we're out there with the drone. He's getting great footage of it. The trains coming through is such a beautiful scene, and I can't wait to see it actually in the video, because I'm there's so much great potential out there for Billings. It's just getting the bypass and then getting infrastructure out there to get things going.
Absolutely.
And Lockwood is such a great community.
That's exciting for you guys.
Yeah, Lockwood is great. That's where our headquarters is. We're based in Lockwood. We have Lockwood and then 6 other branch locations in Montana and then North Dakota and South Dakota. So
spread out in the region.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're at in South Dakota and North Dakota.
We're in Rapid City for South Dakota,
Cool.
and we're in Killdeer, which is by Dickinson in North Dakota.
So it's close enough. I mean, both of those. Rapid's probably 6 hours.
Yeah.
So you have 5 different divisions that you have to brand. So what did that branding process look like during that consolidation? I know you kind of said that you kept some of the colors and things, but what was that whole process? And did you get a whole new logo? Just kind of explain, because some people listening are probably going, I probably should rebrand.
Yeah, we started out thinking, do we need to hire an agency for this to help us figure out the direction we're going to go? But the more Jeri and I talked about it, and we talked to the team a lot to get buy-in and their thoughts on our branding and what we were going to do. And we really decided that Warren Transport was the logo that had the most brand recognition and visibility, because it's our logo that's on all of our trailers. I don't know if you guys have noticed any of our trucks going around Billings.
We essentially have billboards that drive up and down the
rolling
interstates.
billboards.
Make the logo bigger.
That's what you'll hear from us all the time. Our team is so sick of us hearing bigger signage.
But it's so true.
So we decided, since the most brand recognition came from Warren Transport, and it's been around for 30 years, that's the logo that we wanted to keep as the symbol that's used for all of our divisions. And we did do a slight play on it, because the Warren Transport logo, if you looked at it closely, it was like a W with a T in it. And we just changed the upper right of that to look more kind of like a W itself, and we put an arrow there kind of showing moving forward. That's what we were thinking. So we had this idea of exactly what we wanted to do. And so we kept the Warren Transport logo, but then again, with all of the divisions, they all had their unique look and feel and colors. And so we decided to keep the color palette of that division, but give them the logo that came from Warren Transport. But then we kept the Weave name. So we really love Weave because it's a play on, our last names, Weaver, our dad's last name, Weaver. Everyone called him Weave, but it's also weaving the businesses together. We said, we want to keep Weave. We serve multiple industries, so thus Weave Industries. And so,
well, and I have to say, on the industries part, we used to be Weave Management Group, and Jen and I were like, well, do we just make it Weave Group? Do we ever have to give kudos to Jen on this, where she said, it sounds too much like a consulting firm. It sounds like we're not sure, it's not clear that we support multiple, that we go out, we support multiple industries. It's not clear that the divisions that we have. And so she came up with Weave Industries, and it really stuck, and it made it just fit a lot better with what our core business is. And so kudos to Jen on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you guys moved back, just walking back a little bit, what were your roles? So you came back sooner and then you followed. What were those initial roles? You've grown up working in the family business, so you've done some of these things. You probably have a pretty good understanding of what's going on in each.
Yeah, when I first came back, I started working mostly in marketing, helping clean up our websites and cleaning up our presentation materials, and started working in customer relations. And then eventually I ended up heading up human resources. And then from there, I was involved in a lot of different corporate development activities. So I headed up the consolidation of all of our businesses under one legal entity.
That was probably a lot.
It was big.
I mean, it sounds like, oh, I just did. It's like, no, I did a lot of work over this.
There's a lot of work.
And I think it's important to note that when it got consolidated, it allowed the companies to create a board, right? With
a single board of directors. There used to be like boards for each of the companies, but it was not cohesive.
Yeah.
So that was a great way for, our father to, Jen was already heavily involved, but it was a way to start getting me re-involved. And at the time I still lived in Boston. But as Jen said, it's a rat race. I'd had 2 kids. I think my son's daycare was over $3,000 a month. Oh yeah. So you just start looking at everything. And my husband and I were very fortunate that we both had jobs that we could be remote. So we were like ahead of the remote working trend, ahead of COVID. So we moved back in 2014.
Oh, okay.
2015, I think, one of the years. Can't remember what year. But it allowed us we both kept our same jobs. So it was great. So I was able to keep my Oracle job while continuing to get, reacquainted with the businesses.
So it was great. So we established a single board of directors that included members of the family, but also outside board members. And so the board was really able to provide a lot of solid direction to the companies. And it's been a really nice function for the group. And it also kind of helped provide cohesion when bringing all of the businesses together under one umbrella. So that was really great for us. And that's when Jeri started getting very, very involved back in 2018. And then, I just really became my dad's right hand over time. Like I worked with him constantly, so closely, and learned so much from him. And I really had a strong hand in developing our current executive leadership team. So back in 2021, the board elected me to be chief executive officer. Wow, yeah. So, and my dad was excited to fully retire. So during all that time, we'd been working, just having Jeri on the board and me there was a form of succession planning, but we'd also been working a lot on estate planning. And it's something that my dad was very focused on and we spent a lot of time on. And thank goodness he did, because I get emotional, but he passed away. So he passed away August of 21, and because of all the work that he had put into estate planning leading up to it, it made a very seamless transition.
Yeah.
And we know what our dad's wishes were. We know how our dad wanted to continue the businesses. We have about 175 employees, and
that's full-time employees. And if you add in all of our part-time employees, about 200.
Yeah. And but our dad loved those employees so much, and he loved the businesses so much.
And when he was sick, he just made us promise. He's like, you keep these businesses going. And we were like, absolutely.
We will, and that was something. So that's with Jen and I, every day, we too love the employees. We couldn't do what we do without them. I mean, that's they're the heart and soul of what we do. I can't go drive a semi-truck down the road.
You don't have your CDL?
I don't.
You guys don't get that?
No.
Hey, we drove around some Bobcats as kids. Same. I can drive a stick shift, but
so we realize that, and we are really grateful that we get to continue our family legacy of, not just from our father, but from our grandfather and our great-grandfather. And we hope to grow it. And like Jen said, that we've really taken construction to new levels, made the investment in the teams and the equipment, and we're grateful.
And what a great foundation too. And then you guys come in and I think we've talked a little bit about it on some other episodes, but parents that have built this big legacy, and it's like, do the kids come in and take it over? Does it get sold? Does it close? Does it get acquired? I mean, so him having that foresight of here's the estate planning, the succession planning, and just getting that all in place. And
it's so important because you just never know. My dad, he was healthy. He could keep up with the best of them. What happened with him, and this is something that I think people in this region should be educated about, is valley fever. I don't know if the two of you even know what valley fever is.
No, I don't.
It is a fungal infection that you can get, that you contract in dry desert. So like in Arizona. And my father had a second home in Arizona, and people that are more susceptible to valley fever are people that are immunocompromised in some way. And my dad happened to be on Humira for his arthritis, which lowers your immune response. And so he contracted valley fever, but he didn't know it. So when COVID hit, when there were so many viral infections out there and everybody was focused on COVID, my dad kept going to the hospital saying, I don't feel well. And they do a test and be like, well, it's not COVID. So,
but what is it?
So they just thought it was some sort of, lung infection. So they said, well, if it gets worse, then come back. So like months later, he wasn't getting better. And then he started having trouble breathing. So of course he goes to the emergency room and then finally had a chest x-ray and they're like, oh no. And his lungs looked like snowflakes. So he had contracted valley fever and it wasn't caught early enough. And it eventually got into his brain. It caused fungal meningitis and then eventually caused strokes. He had a major stroke where he couldn't move half of his body for some months. And then eventually he passed away from it. So, but, people should know if they've been, in dry climates like Arizona, certain areas of California, and you're not feeling well and not getting better, like just check. Valley fever is a thing.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Oh, I had no idea either. I've never even heard of it.
Right?
Yeah, like I said, most people have it and they don't even realize it. They can just fight it off.
Yeah, because they have the immune system there. Oh gosh.
But yeah, so anyway, we're very excited to, as Jenny said, we love these businesses. They've been part of our families forever. We're excited to continue to evolve the businesses. I think what's really cool is that every generation has taken the gift that they were given and they've made it even better.
Even better, yeah.
And
that's our goal.
That's our goal.
Well, it sounds like you guys are well on your way doing that.
Yeah. That brings me to a question that I have is, you mentioned bringing on, really growing that construction division. How do you guys sit down and develop your strategies for expansion and adding new services?
Well, our board of directors is constantly looking at the economy, at the markets, trying to understand what our next step is going to be. And one thing that we're always concerned about is one of the major commodities that we haul is coal, right? We haul to coal-fired power plants, which is baseline energy that's definitely needed, but there's a lot of renewable sources of energy that are out there as well. And so, it's an industry that's shrinking. And so we're constantly thinking of where are we going to go next? Like we have trucks, we can haul for anything. We're happy to haul gravel into building wind farms and all sorts of things. So we're looking at how to diversify our trucking. We're looking at
and we have a chief commercial officer who, one of his, he wears many hats. He's, like Jen said, our executive team is fabulous, but one of his tasks is, development and figuring out. So Jen and I come up with a lot of crazy ideas. And as does he, and it's his job is to really vet initially, like, is this something that we should look into? I would say for every 10 ideas, 9 we pass on, from
maybe
across the board.
Every 20 ideas.
Yeah. You're like, this one is good.
Yeah. And so, but you have to keep looking and growing. And so we're always open to ideas. I think that's the most important thing is being open to it, but also being really realistic, as Jen said, about the economy, about the, state of our other, divisions and the state of our business. And we're very lucky that we're in a really good spot right now. But we're also, aware of
what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it is interesting. Like my brother was working in the coal strip mine prior to them shutting that, but it was like really going really well. All of the power plants were on, and then they started to one by one close one down and then go through some layoffs. And
we have a lot of opinions, but we probably won't get into that.
No, that's okay. I think maybe I'll do. But so I think it's interesting. But watching
luckily,
all of
we
that.
haul into coal strip as well. We haul from Rapid City. We haul limestone into coal strip, and the power plants use limestone to clean their flue gas. It helps the environment, and there's clean coal, carbon capture technologies.
And like we said, a lot of the companies have figured out how to use their waste products, right? So companies like ourselves take the fly ash and mix it into a recyclable product, right, to help solidify liquids in the oil fields.
Which is so cool. I had no idea. I mean, like just hearing like all of the things that I mean, because they're regulated. Everything's super regulated, and everyone's doing what they can to reduce any not waste and recycle and do what they can with the waste.
I'm just going to say, my mind is blown because I didn't realize you guys did all these things.
I don't know if I did necessarily. And then I'm like looking on the website. I'm like, oh my God, they have like all these things going on.
I know. It's like, I'm like sitting here. I'm like,
busy.
don't like keep your cool, Kayla, but like talk about some bad babes here. Right?
I know. So you guys so you talk about the board, but like, how is it day to day? Like, do you guys have family meetings? Are you going on family vacations where you're deciding other things too?
We're together all the time.
We're together all the time. Tell us the details. Because
we're each other's true partners in life. Whether our husbands like it or not.
I think fortunately Jen and I have really supportive husbands that are totally fine with us giving it our all where we need to. So I think like day to day, every day is different. I mean, that's exactly what we spend, a lot of days here at our corporate office. We spend a lot of days on the road. We have some fun perks to our job too. So next week, Jen and I are going to, we have a captive insurance meeting, and Jen sits on the board for us there. We self-insure for our auto insurance and our healthcare insurance. And unfortunately, they have to meet in Belize. I mean, that's the next place.
I know. So unfortunately, that's what we're doing next week.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm so sorry you have to do that. That's terrible.
It's really tough.
But we really believe in communication. So we communicate with each other constantly. That's what keeps us on the same page. We communicate with our board. We meet all the time. But one of the best things I think that we do to keep our executive team and our managers together is each of our divisions has a general manager. Each of our main corporate functions like HR and finance, they have a head of HR, we have a head of finance. And so every Monday morning, all of those people, our executive team, and Jeri and I meet every Monday, and we go through what happened last week, what's on the docket for this week, what are the major goals that we're looking to do. We have
what are the obstacles? What are we running into?
So it really allows us to communicate on a weekly basis, face to face. In March, we have an annual all managers meeting. So all of our superintendents, all of our branch managers, everybody gets together in one room so we can be together face to face. We also have monthly all manager calls, but this is bringing everybody together.
To the room.
Yeah.
It's so impactful to have everybody like in the face to face.
And we spend a lot of time. We go through with all of our managers. We bring in our employment law attorney to do training every single year because Montana has tough employment laws that it's important for companies to understand them, for all of our managers to understand. So they're treating all of our employees right and handling things in the right fashion.
Yeah, we focus a lot on safety in the meetings as well. That's the other thing. So we bring in our partners from Levitt Insurance to talk through all the risks and all the safety, and they basically scare the crap out of everybody.
It's such a high risk business. It's really scary. So,
a lot of driving, mining. Yeah.
Well, and so that's why we're so focused on our safety record and how do we drive accountability into safety with our employees.
And you guys have received awards for those.
We have. We got for 2022, we actually received the award. In 2023, the
Carrier of the Year.
That's huge.
From the Montana Trucking Association, we received the grand trophy. So, and a huge portion of that trophy is our safety record. So it's something that we're very, very proud of. We have not had any at-fault accidents with other vehicles in the last number of. It doesn't mean we haven't had accidents that maybe weren't our fault, or we had one accident where a driver just was leaving a site and kind of drove off a corner. But and that I was at, but we just I'm going to knock on wood that we really drive safety and accountability. And one of the things that we've started doing with all of our trucks is installing dash cams. And so we have speed governors. Our trucks can't go faster than 65 miles an hour. The dash cams have really saved us in certain instances. Like 75%, I just read, of motor vehicle accidents with large trucks, of semi-trucks, are caused by the motorist.
That is a very...
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know how to be around a truck and trailer.
Yeah,
And they're
right,
saying
or
blind spots.
like-
We were just talking on the way down here about, we're like, we need to figure out if there's like blind spot identifications you can put on trucks, right? Indicators. We have them in our cars.
Yeah, but there's a lot on a truck, especially when you're like hauling double. I mean, they can't see you for a good chunk of you passing them.
Especially on the interstate when you're at an on-ramp and our truck, like you've got a car coming on, there could be a car in their blind spot. It's a tricky spot. So people on the highway should know if you're near an entrance to the highway, just
don't get in the blind spot.
Don't get in the blind spot.
Because they can't see you. And then I also think of the roundabouts too, as people are going around. I'm like,
get them some space.
God bless them. But I'm like,
oh my gosh, I give
they
them
have to
huge
take
kudos.
such wide.
Yeah.
And then people get like right up and I'm like, they need that space.
Right.
Just give them a second, because they're hauling a lot. And I just think it's interesting.
Well, it's good for everybody to know. We talk to our kids about it a lot. We're part of this Share the Road campaign where we'll bring a semi truck to one of the local high schools
That's so cool.
and have our truck drivers there talk to them about where the blind spots are and what it's like, and to get in the truck and see what they see. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
I have a question for you. So you have you mentioned almost 200 employees. How do you keep a culture with that many employees?
That's a really good question. First of all, a fantastic human resources team. So we really care a lot about bringing people together, not just in meetings, but also to have fun events at work. So whether it's the holidays or whether we're going to do a barbecue on the weekend, and Jeri,
Or tailgate parties for Cat Grizz.
or driver appreciation week. Like, we care about our employees so much. We want to be an employer of choice. We want our employees to be excited about working for us. We want to do well so we can share with our employees and give nice bonuses.
Yeah.
And luckily we've been able to do that. And, we focus on it all the time. So I think it's just, letting employees know that you care and you're communicating and listening to feedback and incorporating that feedback.
Yeah, and sharing, what's happening in the different divisions and across the world.
Yeah.
So that's what, we know everything going on because this is the world that we live in, but we forget that they don't always know what's happening.
They're not in your conversations.
So we have an internal newsletter that we send out once a
that's
month. We have, an external newsletter as well, but we want to share what's going on. We do high five awards that anyone can give to any employee. Cool. We have an employee hardship fund. So if employees are having trouble, there's an unforeseen circumstance that comes along, we want to be there to help them, and that's where a lot of our dollars go to.
Yeah,
so
we have PTO donations, so everyone can donate PTO to employees that may be in need of it due to, again, a hardship request. And
I think culture is doing all the little things, right?
It is, like the little things that then make it big.
Yeah, and one of the things that Jen and I harp on all the time, and back to the, it's bigger signage, and then we also are like snacks. We're like, please get in the driver lounges at all the branches. We're like, we want snacks for these guys. Like, make sure there's, easy water, bottled water for them. Make sure that there's healthy snacks for them to choose from. And where it gets those little things that if they don't have to go into, Town Pump and grab snacks, and they can just get it right there.
You guys are my favorite. I am talking all the time. I say we need snacks.
Yes, snacks.
I feel like we always have food around the office.
That's
like
very
I swear
true.
Patrick's always eating something weird in the fridge. Like the only time he eats, you see him eat, is like some pizza from like a week ago in the fridge. Just kidding, Patrick. But yeah. We always have like snack. We just had a chili cook-off last Friday.
We
which
did.
was
We had a chili cook-off, which if you guys,
that's fun.
That would be something so fun.
Yeah.
We had, and I was super surprised. We had 9 chilies entered.
with Rock 31 and Big Sky.
We did a whole
Yeah.
building-wide chili cook-off, and it was blind vote with everybody got 5 beans to
I would
vote
love
for,
that.
and
I
then
like
they just put them
that.
in the cups. So it was just a complete blind, and then the winner got a $25 gift card to Zest.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, to kind of go along with like the cooking theme.
I like
and
that.
Yeah.
there-
I
it
love
was
Zest.
So much
That's a
fun.
great
I don't
store.
think we've had that many like people like congregate into the Zoot for one of these events because we've done like a building wide potluck, but this was like
This
people
was
were
the
like,
big one.
yeah,
All
and
right.
every-
We'll have to note
they
it.
were like,
Yeah.
I've got to try every chili, and like they were like everybody was trying all 9 chilies.
Oh,
It
that
was
crazy.
insane.
Yeah. So as you guys have had really great marketing backgrounds, and then done a lot of things for your own company. What are some tips that you have for other businesses listening Kayla kind of asked it, but like other tips, things that you guys do that you found a lot of success with that maybe like a smaller business could benefit from and or a larger scale company?
Yeah, I mean, I think one is choosing the right partners. So we have really great partner companies that we work with. So Dusty Young at Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, it's copyright
printing.
Okay, got it right. Yeah. So he is who we partnered with when we knew what we wanted for the logo, and then we just needed somebody to take what was in our head and get it on paper for us. And so I think, choosing the right partners. We also partner with
Rebel River for all of our online marketing
stuff, and graphic imprints for all of our merchandise and everything, and they've all been super helpful. So I think choosing the right partner is key. I think we said communicating, so we would bring kind of smaller focus groups in and kind of test out some of our ideas and see what there is. We have a lot of feedback all the time on like where the logos should be on hats, and it shouldn't be over here, it should be here in the middle, and making sure that we hear that from everybody.
Well, brand standards and consistency are very important. And coming into the company with a marketing background, it was a little cringy to just be like, we're not using any brand standards. And so I think communicating with employees, like, this is the colors that we need to use. This is the look and feel.
These are the vendors we're using.
This is the vendors. We only use these vendors. And having a single point of contact within the organization that's actually allowed to order merchandise.
Right. It's so important. Manage the website, do all the
just to keep the consistency, because we still have room for improvement, but we've come a long way from where we were. And so consistency and communication are really key.
Because every time someone's out in one of those hats, you want them to all look the same.
You can't have different fonts. You can't have, we use some different colors, but they need to be approved
your colors. Yeah, exactly. I think that's really important.
So Jeri and I we get like,
the cool.
I love
I'm wearing one of our
cool.
flannel shirts. So
that's cool.
We like to go.
We go buy our own shirts and then
we're like,
drive them crazy.
Yeah. We do that for a couple programs too. Yeah. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We're going to take a quick break for a quick sponsor message. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, community development, and workforce development. Learn more at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. This has been a really great conversation, learning more about both of you and what you do. We like to end each episode with 3 rapid fire questions. And so I'll start with the first. How do you start your day?
Coffee.
Coffee and email.
Okay. So you kind of get up, answer emails, have coffee. Do you do that at home?
I do that at home.
Coffee and the news.
The news in the background for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll skim through the Billings Gazette.
I was like, local news, bigger news. Okay.
Oh, I like local news.
Okay.
I think you have to stay on top of
happier.
local news.
I do it all.
Yeah. Get it. I
channel.
And I love the local newscasters. They just have the best personalities.
I love our weather people.
I was like, with the weather one, I do too. I've met him. Gosh, what is his name?
I'm a Wake Up Montana girl.
Oh, okay,
and I love
great.
Bradley Warren. I think he's like one of the funniest people out there.
He is so funny.
I usually see like one or both stations on at the gym. So it's like the weather from the one station and then the other. But
I don't think you're ever going to take my coffee away.
Coffee. We're coffee people too.
People ask coffee or wine. I'm like, I'll keep my coffee any day.
And then we try to go to Orange Theory.
Yeah. Do you guys go together?
We do.
It's intimidating. Orange Theory seems very intimidating.
It's great. They're so nice there.
I think
so don't be intimidated. Like they're like the
and then
nicest people.
you're in and you're out.
If I go to the gym, I wander around and talk to people, which I love the gym, but it just motivates. And then we still get in trouble for talking at Orange Theory sometimes. But the instructors are great.
Harder.
We love it.
Okay, so my question is, and the reason why I want to do this is because you guys are a partnership, but you're sisters, and so there's a lot of different things that go into that. What tip would you give for somebody that's looking to enter into a partnership to keep it a healthy partnership?
Ooh, that one's really hard. But I mean, Jen and I, we're successful because we genuinely love each other. And I think that's might be cliche, but
we want good things for each other. We're best friends. Like, we genuinely love each other.
It doesn't mean that we don't disagree or that we don't have arguments, but we, as Jen said, we typically have learned that we resolve them immediately. So if one of us is upset about something, we just tell the other one, and we've learned how to work through stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's why if you're going to go into partnership with somebody, I think that you have to be able to communicate with them. If you can't communicate, then you're not going to survive.
Yeah, you have to have a personality connection and be able to communicate.
And handle confrontation. I mean, I think that's the other thing. I think a lot of people shy away from confrontation, and business is going to give you lots of it, right?
Oh,
There's going to be a
you
lot
don't want
of
to be passive aggressive. You need to, I mean, Jeri and I, we don't get along all the time. Like there are things we disagree
Usually
on.
it's when we're hungry.
Yeah, we'll be like, are you hungry? Are you tired? Let's talk about this.
Here's a Snickers.
But we'll both just lay out, our opinions and lay out why we think something is, and we'll, sometimes one of us has to give, and but not often. I'd say most of the time we kind of have the same mindset. We think a lot alike.
Yeah, and owning a business together, we're very careful about making sure that we take equal amounts out of the business if we're going to, right? So.
Or put equal amounts in. I mean,
put equal amounts in, right? Like it's all, we just try to keep it fair, and we try to communicate and not do something major that the other person doesn't know about, right?
Yeah. And there's mechanisms in place so we can't do those, right? I think we have delegation of authority across the board for, what each tier of people within our organization can and can't do. But it's all about communication. I mean, I think that's the number one thing that people get held up on sometimes.
And it sounds like you guys have really good trust with each other and trust each other in your areas that you're working in.
And we have a great team. I mean, our team is amazing. I think that one thing that Jeri and I are both good at, and I think to be a leader, you need to be good at this, is to be a good judge of talent, right? You have to be able to communicate. You need to be able to identify if somebody is doing a good job or not, be able to set those expectations, and then also just be able to make decisions, right?
I think that's like a great quote out of this episode.
And hire people that have a different skill set than you, right? I think that's the other thing, is that there's a lot of things that I'm not good at, and there's a lot of things that Jen isn't.
Exactly.
And we are very, as Jen said, I think we're very good at hiring people that complement our skill sets.
And hiring the right people. That's great.
I love that judgment of talent.
It's so good. I'm like, so
that
good.
question was like even better than I could have even imagined.
Well, and you also need to be able to read a room, right?
You think that's common, but sometimes you're like, no. Okay, so what are some of your non-negotiables in business and in life?
Ooh.
Honesty.
Yeah, I was going to say trust and honesty.
Yeah. So people that are loyal, that we have that trust with, it means a lot. So I'd say that's number one for me, is honesty.
Yeah, and you have to like dogs.
Dogs.
We have animal people.
That's a non-negotiable. We have dogs at our office, and when we interview people, the dogs will be running around. And we're like, if you don't like dogs, you probably don't want to work here.
Be here 'cause they're not going away. Oh, I bet they make work so happy.
They do. They're
so
our
cute.
chief security officers.
What kind of dogs?
Well, we have.
You'll have to send us pictures too.
Yeah,
we'll send
Jen
pictures.
has a res dog.
She just is like such a mutt. She has her head's kind of black and her body's white with spots.
She's like
her
a
body
cow pig
doesn't.
dog.
Yeah, her belly looks kind of like a pig. Yeah, she doesn't really. None of her parts fit together, but we love her. Her name's
cute.
Penny.
Yeah. And I have a golden and a
Jeri has
Bernese mountain
designer
dog.
dogs.
Oh, cute. We have
Bernice.
a coworker upstairs, and she loves Bernese Mountain Dogs.
He's like
They're
a
so
Bernedoodle,
sweet.
but he has like 25%.
Jeri, tell him what Teddy did.
Yeah, Teddy. They're troublemakers. My Teddy, the Bernese, decided to roll in some other dogs'
Oh no!
stuff in the yard the other day.
And the other dog, we think the other dog, it wasn't one of our dogs, but another dog.
Yeah, because the shop across the street also has dogs.
We think the dog might have
Had some stomach issues that day, and my dog decided to roll in it. And so, yeah.
So he went to the wash bay.
that we should have taken him to the wash
Yeah,
bay.
we should have just spread him down there. Yeah. We actually gave a high five to our Shannon, who works at our front desk, because she came out and helped us, and it was not so. It's like we always have a line in the bottom of our job descriptions that says, "and all their other duties assigned." And I was like, I think that went above and beyond all other duties assigned.
She deserves a coffee, I think.
She really does.
Yeah, so they're special. And then our aunt has her dog. Our aunt also works for the office, and so she has her dog, and her dog is like a hunting dog. We're not sure. It was Rod's dog, and now it's her dog.
Oh, cute.
That's really sweet.
I
That sounds
have
like a fun environment.
It does sound like we'll have to come play with your dogs.
You guys will have to come
See
visit.
photos.
We'll give you a tour.
We would love that.
Yeah.
You can ride in a truck.
I'm
and
ready.
we'll wear our swag.
Yes, wear your swag.
I love that. Yeah. My dad, so agriculture, I have driven a truck before, but just like slowly as hay was loaded. And then my brother's over there now driving them. And to me, he's always like going to be like a fifth grader in my head. I'm like, are you sure you are able to? And he's like driven huge equipment. And I'm like, are you sure this is safe for you to be doing? And he's like, anyways. Oh gosh, that would be fun. We would love that.
Yes,
we'll get
absolutely.
babysat for the day.
Yes,
You can just give
so
us,
fun.
and we'll just be out.
Yes.
Steve can give us,
We'll get a note from Steve, and he'll just say, they're yours for the day.
yours.
Well, if
That
you
would be
guys are
fun.
ever in Townsend, you should come check out our haul trucks up there. I mean, just
They're
Yeah.
70-ton haul trucks. They're big.
Wow.
like
tires,
a
like,
tire
are the
is
size of this
way
room.
taller than me. Yeah.
That's insane.
Okay, well, that just gives
We've
us...
driven through to go to Helena a couple times together.
this is perfect because I've been wanting to go to the Parrot in Helena and get some chocolate. So
Okay.
There you go.
We'll go to
Take a
Townsend.
little tour. We're ready. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Where can people find you, get connected, learn more about you?
You can visit www.weaveind.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
great.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are
no
really
problem.
powerful women in the industry, and I love. I mean, you're not typically a woman-owned industry that you guys are involved in. So thank you so much for sharing your insights. We're happy to have you, and I'm just jazzed to have known a little bit more about you guys.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.